Good afternoon, my friends. Daniel Miller here. How's everybody doing? I hope you had a very good and enjoyable Easter weekend spent indoors. As I said so many times in my broadcasts, hashtag stay indoors UK, hashtag stay at home UK, hashtag be a hero by staying at home and indeed providing everybody with that degree of safety, because if you are staying at home, you are not allowing the virus to spread. You're protecting your own life, you are protecting the lives of your loved ones, you're protecting our beloved NHS, our National Health Service, for all of the viewers from around the world, and also you are spending time at home in order to make it worthwhile for yourself, which means doing some sort of meaningful, enjoyable and productive activity. So thank you all for doing that. I hope you all were at home 24/7 during the last 4 or 5 days, because as you know, the situation in our country is not very good at the moment. The pandemic had not stalled, it is in fact rising. We have many people dying every day, and therefore I urge every single gamer, every single citizen, every single inhabitant, every single Brit, every single person who is present on our isles presently, simply to be abiding by the rules and abiding by all that needs to be listened to, coming through the scientists, through our doctors, through the authorities, because this is the only way. I'm absolutely horrified as I receive very many messages from people who are my contacts from around the country, not just here on the video gaming hubs, but also on those which are related to my professional services as well as film industry. I'm absolutely shocked by the number of symptoms that they're describing, because it appears to be that this awful virus is affecting people very differently. In fact, I've just read a message from a colleague. She lives in the Midlands and she's been suffering from this virus for more than 20 days, and her symptoms were nothing like those described in the news, with high fever and coughs and chest pains. They actually went into her stomach. There were gastric symptoms. I've heard from other people with the symptoms coming from other parts of the body, such as kidneys or, for instance, lower abdomen. And as you know, this is a dangerous viral infection which in fact could be attacking various organs at once and therefore impairing the vital functions. So really absolutely terrifying to hear that, and certainly causing a concern purely in terms of how we are to be fighting this disease and finding a vaccine or medication, because people are so affected so differently. And as you know, we have a very large number of people who tragically perished already after the last few weeks, and that is really heartbreaking as well, because every single person had a family, they had their loved ones, and I received some news from the US indicating that there were situations where several members of the same family died as a result of the virus, and that is even more devastating to learn. So once again, I'd like to ask everybody to absolutely adhere to the guidelines and to the regulation. Stay at home 24/7, don't go anywhere. And I know people are itching to do some exercises and maybe to do a few more things outdoors. Do not do that. It is as simple as it is. The message is clear. Don't do it. If you want to be getting fit and boosting your immune system, this is not the way and the time to do it right now. Because if you are, for instance, jogging in a park or cycling, you will be accelerating your heart rate, which means your intake of oxygen and the air which surrounds you will be much greater than otherwise. And guess what? You might meet other joggers. You'll exchange the air with them and you will know what happens afterwards. So please make sure that you're not getting any delusional ideas about the need for the fitness to be increased right now, when in fact we need to be staying indoors and then doing some standing exercises and everything that we can do by ourselves without any form of assistance from anyone. And I can certainly tell you, I usually go to my sports center, to my swimming pool 5 times a week for swimming, and I've not gone there at all already for, I would say, maybe longer than 40 days, because I've been in self-isolation and quarantine for 37 days so far. 37 days. So that is 4 weeks preceding the beginning of the week prior to Easter. and I will stay in self-isolation and quarantine as long as necessary, and I'd like to basically invite everyone else to do exactly the same. I can see that we have some friends popping in. We have Sakapupu in here, and we have Scotland for life 62. Thank you very much, guys, for popping in, for joining. I already talked a bit to Scotland through the chat. So good to see you coming back and popping in, saying hello, because obviously you were coming previously to watch Destiny streams. Just to put it into perspective, I've diversified somewhat, and I've been running my second season of broadcast both on Twitch and Mixer, and I really want to explore some other ideas, really, which I've had, as 1 year was spent entirely on Destiny 1 and 2 with daily streams which were lasting for up to 5 hours per day on average, and a very good community was built, and we had lots of fantastic discussions. I mean, honestly, it's been a once in a lifetime experience. But the idea is also for myself as an avid gamer to play other games, because quite frankly, if I'm doing the streams that are lasting 4 to 5 hours, there'll be no time for any other games, and if I'm just dedicated to Destiny, from a purely personal point of view, I'm missing out on all else that's happening out in the industry. And as you know, the industry is very, very active, evolving, developing, and branching out. And in fact, it is very similar to what we've seen with the evolution of motion pictures, in, let's say, when they started with Hollywood in about 1913, 1914, maybe a secondary wave happened after the sound was invented. Suddenly everybody from everywhere was gravitating to that industry, doing lots of things in there, and it became like the major employer for very, very many people, providing us with very, very diverse quantity of products and ideas, which in fact, if you watch them today from, let's say, 90 years distance, are still absolutely and most incredibly thoroughly impressive. The films of the 1930s are a true joy to watch, and there's quite a variety of different genres, different participants. The quantity produced was incredible, and that's mirrored today with the video gaming industry. The only difference here is that the video game industry is accessible through various devices at home, which means many more people are being brought in, and that itself is very rewarding for everyone who's participating. I particularly like the idea of interactivity, and my gaming adventures and experiences have been massively escalated since the full integration of Twitch to everything, because we can indeed talk to our friends worldwide, make new friends, create new communities, and all of that is absolutely wonderful, and it really brings a much broader picture on what one can do in a game. Also, what's very important, it is providing us with a wonderful learning experience, and I think, considering how much we can learn from others, this is terrific. I want to actually draw your attention to something that has been also developed in the industry, and I think lots of gamers didn't pick up on it yet. It's the capacity of video games to be provided as a learning tool in schools and colleges. And one of the first games to start with that was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and they've created through the updates a section where you're learning all about history and ancient Greece, and it's incredible because you literally walk to those areas in the game and you learn all about it, and you have loads of lessons. There honestly cannot be a better way of providing somebody with a good material in order to learn, and that's been very rewarding. I've seen another game, and that's Minecraft, now introducing a new update that will be called Learning Lessons, and there will be lessons attached to kind of various subjects and various fields. So anybody coming in, if wanting to kind of learn about those, will be able to pop in and do it in exactly the same fashion. So that really is extraordinary, and I think this is a new avenue of learning which is coming out of video gaming, in addition to the usual, which is us joining our forces together in order to combat enemies and become heroes within a specific video gaming activity. So that's all really cool. I want to see what our friends are saying. Scotland said it's really great that I'm running the second season of Variety Streams. Thanks very much indeed. It is a bit of a different course of action, and purely in terms of how communities are built, it's not the best one, because you will always build a community attached to one particular game or a gaming style. So if you were to watch Shroud Ninja, or the big celebrity gamers worldwide, you will see that they're always attached to a shooter. They're always playing one of the games that is based on the skill that they have, or you should say, the skill they professed over the years. But I'm not really phased with that, because my personal perspective on video gaming is on social. So it's not about collecting scores, it's about basically creating new bonds and providing a forum where people can learn and exchange ideas and primarily talk about what they love doing the best. And I have that for the film industry in the forum called Film Dialogue, which has been run really for quite a number of years. And then the new project is Gaming Dialogue, which is obviously present here as I run this channel, and it's been very, very good. I mean, the only difference is that with video gaming, because there's so much interest, you are getting very many people from everywhere popping in and saying hello, and not everyone likes the aspect of the social. Some people like cracking on with the game and shooting and collecting scores. Others are more inclined to be chatting. So it depends on the personal preference. But I'm also one of the Xbox ambassadors, and I promote ethical gaming, which means we police the interactivity that happens on various forums through Microsoft and Xbox, and I think it's a very good way of providing forums so people can learn. And quite frankly, the difference between the way people use Mixer and Twitch is quite incredible. And although Mixer doesn't have that many participants and not many people are kind of joining that community, and that's mainly to do with, well, there's two factors. One is Mixer is closely tied to Xbox, and you can't be streaming, correct me if I'm mistaken, you can't be streaming from other platforms to Mixer. It appears to be almost like a proprietary platform to Microsoft, and that in itself is of concern, because obviously we are looking at cross-platform access, which is going to be the next stage of video gaming world development, and that's hampering the effort. But the other bigger problem, and I really kind of hammered my activity on Mixer during the can't remember what month it was now, I've lost track of time. I think it's from about late February to about mid-March. 4 weeks of it, a month I spent on Mixer doing consistent streams, and I have to tell you, it is marred with technical problems. I've had several broadcasts that were not recorded, so I couldn't really upload them and I couldn't really put them in the archive. One of those was my bulletin on the weekly news, so I had to redo the whole thing again. And once I've gone to the technical support, they were just completely oblivious to the problem, and it felt like it was run by Xbox ambassadors. Well, Xbox ambassadors are there to assist some basics, but the tech support team is the one that needs to really alleviate the problems with any technical issues. And quite frankly, that did not work well for me. In addition, the picture interference and various other kinds of tech problems were persisting, and there was a lot of lag. And I don't have the best internet speed, but on Twitch app or PlayStation, I managed to get a quite consistent stream that is watchable. It's not of high quality in terms of its visuals, but it is watchable. And frequently on Mixer I was getting stuff which was it was not watchable. It was just literally hard on everyone's eyes. And so these were the two problems that really affected me greatly, and therefore I've migrated back to Twitch as my main broadcasting platform. And as you know, Twitch has been around for longer, the community is much bigger, and therefore people are a lot more engaged, and they can obviously access various types of gamers from different platforms, PC and mobile and consoles inclusive, and therefore the community is buzzing with energy. The only trouble I have with Twitch is it's not properly maintained in terms of trolls and hackers and people who are unpleasant, and there were lots of complaints from many gamers and streamers worldwide, particularly the female streamers, because they felt Twitch was not reacting to bans and everything else. They did introduce a new tool through which they can be defining the IP access from various platforms, so even if people sign up through kind of different profile, they will be able to detect that this is the same person one way or the other, maybe even through ISPs. I'm not sure what the method is, and therefore it's a lifelong ban. So we need to see whether that works, but I really feel that Microsoft did take it a kind of step further, and as they have quite a large community of people who are watching the interactivity, and that is definitely very much in sync with kind of the way I would like it to be, which means the forums online have to be as good as those you provide on site in real life, and you want to be behaving in the same fashion, because some things that people say online are definitely not the things you would experience if you were talking to this person face to face, because they'd be afraid of consequences. And I think that same sort of approach needs to be present completely online. It's very likely that we'll have it introduced through some sort of legislation, because as you could see, the world's come to a standstill. We are all at home. Nobody is venturing out. The entire world, the entire global community, with the exception of a few countries that still have not been affected. And it obviously is very visible that the entire activity that people are running today is through online services, and those services are now being taken up as the mainstream. So if you want to see a doctor, you actually hook up through your GP practice online, and you can talk to them on Skype or any other kind of video streaming app. It will be taken up and embraced by all aspects of, all areas of industry as the major way forward, because we will stay in this battle, this war we are fighting at the moment for quite some time. There's no doubt about it, and the situation will open up all different kinds of worms, unfortunately. Not at the moment, because we need to survive. First of all, we need to be all united and battling, the battle and attempting to win the war. But once everything subsides in due course, whenever that is going to be it in a few months, a couple of years, or a couple of decades, there will be a recap, and it will open up all kinds of ideas about the way things were previously and all else. So therefore, we all have to be prepared for a long haul staying indoors. We need to be building a mindset for that, a bit like living in a nuclear shelter, day in, day out, and making sure that we are flexible, we are understanding, we are first of all friendly and united with everyone else who's basically in the same boat, and then looking forward to a much better, prosperous, a happier future to what we would have had in recent years. The virus excluded, of course, because you could see in Britain there's a big problem about the costs and what are people going to do after several months they've been without any earnings, and everybody is really very concerned. And I'm sure that our government will take certain measures and steps to prevent mass liability. So if people are very worried, I'm very, very certain that there will be measures, legal and otherwise, that will remedy this. And for the members of the younger generation, you probably are not aware of the measures which were applied after the First World War, and also during and after the Second World War. And what we're experiencing at the moment is a war. It's a war against the invisible enemy, and we're being hit from all sides. The missiles are falling from everywhere, but we don't see them. We don't know where they're coming from. Everyone is affected. Nobody is actually immune, unless proved otherwise by science and the tests. So that is the way the situation is at the moment. So let me see what Scotland said. Scotland's asked about King Tut's. Can you expand on this a bit? Because I've been to King Tut's. I've been there, and King Tut's is a very, very good venue in Glasgow, and a very popular venue for indie musicians and bands and that. But almost certainly they will not be able to operate for many, many months ahead. I don't know what you've heard, but in Italy they had said, I think during the last couple of days, that all outdoor gatherings and big activities like sports events will be banned until sometime mid-2021. So you're talking about more than 14 months ahead of non-activity with sports stadiums and everything else. And that is a major decision which will affect those sections of the industry. As far as we're concerned in the UK, we can just forget about festivals and bands and that for a foreseeable future. That is not going to be happening, because the current climate of pandemic spreading and us being nowhere near any form of flattening the curve means many weeks ahead of lockdown, perhaps even with the introduction of harsher measures. Because the figures we're getting at the moment are the figures that come out of hospitals, and that's coming from the NHS. The way it works is it's registered immediately, because patients are logged into the national system that monitors the data. That's not the case with people who die in the community or people who die in nursing homes or private settlements settings, I should say. And that is something that is being done by the official of the Office of National Statistics, ONS as it's called, and that comes a lot later. So have a lag of a couple of weeks before you gather all the data. And I've seen some indication today that the figures coming out of community, and particularly from the nursing homes, is extremely high. And once we combine the figures, we see that the number of casualties is unbelievably high. Then evidently both the government, the central government, the local authorities will have absolute responsibility to prevent the spread of the virus, protect life, and they'll carry on with the measures, whatever these measures might be, whatever necessary. And it will be examined, because the first thing that's happening this week is it's going to be seen whether the present measures, which are fairly strict but not absolutely strict, are containing the virus. And the feeling at the moment, certainly during the last few days, was that they helped, but they're not containing the virus. And that is where the problem is, And the only thing I can say to all of my friends and viewers and gamers worldwide is, please make sure you stay indoors, and please make sure you do not get the virus, because we do not know, once you get it, how the virus is going to affect you. It may have some components that are not known to man, and it may be that it will take a long time before we discover what these are, as I gather information from my contacts worldwide indicating how sick they are, but with a variety of different symptoms. And that is terrifying. That really is, most worrying, when you see that infection might be attacking different parts of the body and affecting people differently. Because obviously, if you're looking for a medication or vaccine, you're looking at the commonality amongst all of those occurrences, and that, unfortunately, so far has been very, very difficult to establish. So, yeah. Very, very dark times, I'm afraid. How are my friends? How is Scotland, and how is Sakapupu? How are you guys? What games have you been playing over the weekend? I'm curious, because I've been promoting lots of games that offer through Xbox as freebies every single weekend, and we really blessed this weekend. We had 6 games. We've had Gears 5 for free, Override Mechanized City Brawl for free, Hitman Complete First Season for free, Starlink Battle for Atlas, a wonderful, wonderful Ubisoft game, although not well known, also for free. And then we had, for the fans of sports, NBA 2K Playgrounds 2 and the Elder Scrolls Online, the game I've been playing quite a bit during the last week, a wonderful online extension of Skyrim and Morrowind, and all the Elder Scrolls sagas that we've been entertaining over the last probably 20 years or so. I remember playing Elder Scrolls on PC many years ago, and Morrowind as well, but it's much easier to do it today because the inventory is so well integrated, and a very, very enjoyable game to play, really. And there's a lot of activity, and it's ideal for any form of social encounter. You can always hook up with a person who's up there, up and about in the field somewhere, and you create a team, you talk. They have very, very similar sort of in-game mechanics in Bless Unleashed, and I mean, the games are competing, I guess. Neverwinter, Bless Unleashed, Elder Scrolls, these games are very, very similar in that respect. Scotland says, I've been going laying in Minecraft and Roblox with Polish, Russian, British friends a lot. Fantastic. Well, Minecraft is one of the most popular games on the planet. It's greatly watched on Twitch and Mixer, and I have to confess, I've not played it at all. I've not tried Minecraft, and I tell you what it is. My central nervous system is very sensitive to kind of flashing lights and bright colors, and you get the old retro games, you'll remember, like with dots going around and all. I've seen, actually, there was one game, the game was Hotline Miami Collection. It's been released last week, and I watched the trailer as part of the Xbox presentation, and I really have a problem with these bright colors hitting me, so I feel funny afterwards. Therefore, Minecraft, albeit kind of a new generation game, does have this aura with these kind of bright colors and a bit retro, and that really affects my brain. So probably need to wear shades if I'm to be playing it or trying it in a different fashion. And Scotland says, sorry, I meant playing. Well, no, don't worry. I says, we all make typos. I make typos also. I have my tablet connected to keyboard, and then sometimes, because it's Bluetooth, it doesn't always connect properly. You have sort of spelling mistakes, and not ideal, but better than doing it through the on-screen keyboard, which is a bit slower than the usual. Right, so that sounds good. I mean, also it's particularly good if you play Minecraft in a team. I guess you can rope in lots of people from your community, and that's pretty good with all the other games. I mean, Gears of War 5, for instance, they introduced last week several maps through the update and some new characters and new activities, and that seemed like really, really good. And lots of people giving lots of positive feedback. Gears of 5 been received frostily, and I'm not sure exactly why. I think some hardcore fans felt that there was less activity as you went through the game, and if you're playing the game, you recognize there's a lot of travel, and you have to kind of go through wide distance in order to detect certain activities. And I think people who prefer multiplayer, they wanted fierce deathmatch action, but obviously they're getting it through PvP. And I really love the graphics and the design and just the way the game works. I really think it's wonderful. For me, the best out of 5, with its story and everything that is on offer. And I'm quite certain they'll carry on with cosmetics and achievements and all these things as we go along. But I still think the response was not as great as you would have had it on previous chapters. And therefore we can see that there aren't that many people either streaming and watching the game, and it's all about the hype. If you build that hype and buzz about the game, and you keep going with a lot of new content and interesting activity, then people keep coming back. And this is a very, very great problem for publishers and developers, because if you think about Apex or Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Battle Royale Warzone introduced recently, which I think is wonderful, what do? Because you're providing new content, you're giving new mods, you are introducing new maps, and in a longer period of time, if you're not consistently changing maps and providing some inventions, people get bored, or they'll find another game that's providing something else. Modding and achievements such as those we're getting in Destiny, how exciting and good they appear to be, are not really warming up the community. And you've heard from people who are doing the recent Destiny season, the latest one, they said, well, we've seen this before. Can you actually throw in something else? We want some cutscenes, maybe a bit more story. And it is going to be difficult for a particular evolving world to be providing satisfactory content unless it's fully integrated with RPG. And you got new chapters, you got prequel, you got sequel, you got new characters, you got new developments, similar to television series. Then it will work. And I think also the best thing about games like Apex and PUBG, and particularly Warzone, Battle Royale Warzone mode of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, is, well, in the experience of the game, if you are playing with different teams, every time you come in, you're actually entering a different type of activity. Well, you've been to the map, you might know it, but the way people play is different. And so every time there's something new, and I really honestly, I can't say that I've been bored or at any moment in time when I was doing these games. And I played with lots of randomly selected players with lots of different teams, and sometimes they were great, sometimes they were not very good. But the challenge was there for me, first of all, because frequently I'd end up like the last one of the squad, the people that departed, come to the last, 12, 13 teams. And then obviously being a single player, because the other guys bailed, is creating a difficult situation for me, because I come across the veterans on keyboards, and guess what? I'm like cannon fodder, a sitting duck. I just obliterate it. In fact, in all matches of Call of Duty Modern Warfare I played so far, Warzone, I beg your pardon, this is the Battle Royale mode, I only got to the last two teams once, and that's because in our team we had a guy on keyboard who was doing it on his PC. So, and we got killed when we were down to about last 5 teams, and he was able to battle it through, because the other teams were like, I think the teams of 2s, and there was one team like just 1. But unfortunately for our team, the winning guys were a team of 3, the veterans, and 2 of them on keyboards. And our chap was able to eliminate even the 2 of them, because obviously he was a veteran, and then he had to reload, and that was the end of him and our team. And sadly, we didn't win this match. We you know. Scotland says, if you ever want a teammate on Warzone, I'm on Xbox. Terrific. I will definitely bond sometimes for you to come in. And I have also a friend, a community member from Portugal, and he's been playing with me quite a bit, and I'm sure we'll be able to hook up sometime. You just need to find enough time within my schedule, because in addition to the gaming and online activity, I'm also running a professional forum which is helping people who had suffered as a result of pandemic, and people who had lost their loved ones and that. So it depends on what comes in really from day to day in terms of the requests, and therefore I have to adjust my activities. And it's wonderful to be able to do it online, obviously, to provide that degree of support. And because generally for psychological help and for kind of therapeutic type of interventions, generally people are not that keen if it comes to that being delivered through online services for a variety of different reasons. But the current situation is making it a necessity, really, and that's been really very good and positive. But as I said, definitely I'm up for many more matches of Warzone. Sekapupu, who's also watching, who's here with us, is an avid fan of teamwork and shooters, and I think he'll be always. I'm speaking on Sekapupu's behalf, but I think he will be quite keen to come in sometimes in some of these games. And Sekapupu and myself played lots of matches in Destiny as part of a team, and we had lots of fun. So definitely, I just want to ask Scotland, how are you finding the battle royale of Call of Duty? Warzone. How are you finding it? Are you finding it to be very good? And can you compare with any other battle royale played? So I was having a feedback on Microsoft forums, and I had lots of responses, and overall experience was very, very positive. Now and then you had somebody coming up with minute issues, but I mean, I couldn't spot any glitches or any downsides. We had one freeze in one match amongst hundreds, and that's just completely irrelevant. It was probably server related because of the activity we have at the moment, and that sort of thing. Scotland says Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone, or I should just abbreviate and say Warzone, right? We all know what Warzone is. Scotland says Warzone is actually very, very good. I would agree, yeah. I think for myself, I played PUBG and Apex, the kind of hardcore battle royale games. I've not played Fortnite very much, so I'm not the person to provide any feedback on that game. But compared to the other two, PUBG and Apex, the activity in Warzone is superior. And this is a proper tactical shooter. You have maps which are properly worked through, and they're quite wide maps, so there's a lot of space for people to explore. You're not faced with a deathmatch to start with. Secondly, even if you are on slow internet speeds, you are going to be able to get some good scores because it's based on teamwork, and the lag is not as great in some of the other games if you were not on fiber, for instance. The only problem there is if you are coming across people on keyboards and people who are already kind of leveling up with really good mods, you really have to watch out for top-notch snipers that are properly modified, and for some other weapons which have greater velocity, because they will kill you from very, very wide distance. We've had a couple of situations where in fact we didn't see where the guys were, and there was a player who actually plays the game a bit like myself, stealthily, always hiding with a sniper, and it was just like one shot, one kill, bang, I was dead, bang, the other guy was dead. We couldn't work out where he was, and it was just because he was already high up level wise, and he had some really top-notch mods that he was using, and I was giving him the advantage. And Scotland says, I didn't really play Fortnite, Apex or PUBG a lot. Well, I can tell you that when Apex came out, I thought it had lots of technical problems, with hit registration. It was very, very poor, but bringing in characters that are like creatures from Borderlands, very similar to kind of characters in graphic novels and certain cartoons, and making them really very funny, with the dialogue and the activity overall, and the characters you could select according to your own kind of playing preference, whether they have some supernatural skills, whether they're using tactical, and that was very good. and that was very popular, and the entire world community of gamers got hooked on it, and for certainly a good couple of months they were just hammering it, it's like literally 24/7, and I had a lot of fun doing it. As it carried on with seasons, I thought initially it was lacking new content, but the latest season, season 4, just completely changed the game, and the map was different. It was just much improved, and unfortunately I didn't have much time to join and to play the game, but I think it is much better to what it was at the beginning, and highly recommend it to everyone. PUBG is a tactical shooter, and PUBG has got to be played either solo or in a steady crew. I mean, in a team that's like permanent, your own crew. You've got to be with them, because otherwise you will be struggling. There are lots of pro players in there, people who migrated from Battlefield, all of them on fiber, which means the vast majority may well be on top-notch PC rigs, and so you'll face a very, very formidable opposition, and these people are real experts. I have several streamer friends who are kind of also top-notch PUBG gamers, and it's not for the squeamish, and it's not for people who want to be kind of collecting scores early or quick. It just doesn't work like that. I think Call of Duty Warzone is providing us with a variety of options. Basically, you can decide on how you're going to play the game. Don't know whether you've seen the update on Friday, just before Easter, was giving us the option of playing in a team of 4, in a team of 3, and then playing it solo. And I think there is a team of 2, I'm not 100% sure, but definitely 4 has been introduced. I did notice that. And also solo mode has been introduced. So, it's a very good idea for any battle royale to have that solo player or single player mode. For a simple reason, you get lots of people joining teams who are not team players, and you would have seen that when they are on when they have to decide on a drop zone, they just forget about it, they don't allocate, and then they jump whenever they feel like it, and therefore you're stranded literally even before you start the game, and they do the solo effort, they get killed straight away. Or if they're very good, they'll carry on for a while, but they'll never be doing anything together with you. And for those guys, the multiplayer team effort mode is a non-starter, because they're just ruining the experience for everyone, and it is completely unacceptable that you would have to be then stranded, because it is all about that team effort, supporting your body and doing patrols, doing section attacks, and you just can't do it with that sort of approach. Given the option of choosing like a single player mode, a co-op, 3-player squad and 4-player squad is terrific. I mean, that's the best. You choose the one that you like the best and just crack on. Be it with your permanent team or with people who you can meet there randomly. That's really the best possible. So I think that they really are keeping the eyes on the ball, and Infinity Ward really doing a great job. If people had some concerns about previous Call of Duty games, I think the latest is telling us that they really are the top notch really in the field. I don't think anyone else is anywhere close to them. Also the quality of graphics, the way the environment is, it's fully immersive, it's very close to kind of real life battleground. There is actually one thing that is experienced as a problem, and I nearly forgot about it, and that is actually fairly significant. You know what that is? The sound. If you are doing Warzone frequently, you will notice that if people are walking around the building, you cannot hear them. If you hear a firefight breaking out, which is like 3 or 4 miles away from you, it sounds like it's happening on your doorstep. That is misleading. That is a serious downer, and I'm sure that they've had lots of complaints. They'll work on this, but they didn't really initially pay too much attention to this, and in games like PUBG, that will be telling you how you are to be positioning yourself in relation to all the other participants. We've had lots of situations where we didn't hear a squad sneaking up on us at all, and I'll have like a top-notch setup in here. I can hear every single bit, otherwise nothing. On the other hand, we were kind of cowering in the building, and it's a massive cacophony of noises coming from 5 miles away, where there was a firefight, and it actually did sound as if we were having a firefight within the building. So that really is not particularly good. That's the only kind of thumbs down from me. on Warzone. Any other games that people tried? Well, this weekend I wanted to try yet again Starlink Battle for Atlas, and the game is available on Xbox for free until the 22nd of April, so still a few days to go. And it is a great game. Honestly, it is a bit like Destiny meeting Mass Effect meeting Torment, like a strategy game. It's got everything in it. It's got dialogue, a bit of shooting, a bit of tactics, vast maps, and a lot of activity, plenty of characters, also very, very enjoyable characters, very funny, and a combination of all sorts. And they also have this invention where you will not have cutscenes when you actually talk to the characters, but let's say you are in the middle of a firefight and they pop up. It's like on Skype, they pop up and they talk to you at the same time as you are obviously conducting your operation, and I think that's really, really good. And the dialogue could be quite lengthy. They just pop up and keep talking to you whilst you're sorting out the enemies. Very good stuff. So I recommend it to everyone. If you're on Xbox, download and try Starlink Battle for Atlas. A very good game. It did catch my eye a little while back. It was released about a couple of years ago. Ubisoft made it and released it, but didn't have massive promotion or anything at the time. And obviously Ubisoft have other very big games like Assassin's Creed and Ghost Recon, and they basically overtake when it comes to those releases. But this game is really very, very good, and I mean, for me it was like a discovery. And I've not watched any trailers or anything, and just tried it and loved it. Really had more time would have played it a lot more. And well, for me also there was this weekend Gears 5, which I was introducing to everyone, and we'll do a bit of gameplay in a short while. And then there was also Elder Scrolls Online, and Elder Scrolls is a terrific game. So the only thing with Elder Scrolls is you've got to be playing it step by step. Lots of characters in there, and when I did my first run I was like collecting all quests, talking to everyone, and that didn't work out because too many things to do. So it's the best to be following a particular activity like the main campaign, and then coming back to certain areas and trying out sub quests and side missions depending on the area where you were, and you'll have a very good kind of a stats meter, and you'll have all properly displayed in terms of what maps you explored and what areas are still left out, and it really works perfectly. The only thing is learning to use your special skills. And I always think that in RPGs you will have an abundance of so many different skills to use, but they're not really always necessary for all situations. They're necessary against certain bosses and like the main threshold type of activity in the game. You will need that special activity, otherwise you can't defeat the boss. But it's delightful, and I think I've heard people prefer still Skyrim and Oblivion to it, but I think it's on the same footing really. And Scotland says, I also tried Elder Scrolls Online and a little bit of Rocket League. Rocket League's very popular. I know several people who are playing it. I'm not really into racing games generally, albeit I need to try the latest Forza, Forza 4, because I want to see what our country looks like when we kind of drive around in a video game. And that is something that I definitely want to try, and I have it on Xbox Game Pass. It's proprietary to Xbox, so it's never going to be taken off. It's going to be there forever. And I just need to have enough time to have a look at it, because I think it is very intoxicating when you start driving to the area that is your local area, or the area where you go on holidays, where you know every single building in the street. It's just great. I'll tell you one thing. Many years ago I played a wonderful PlayStation 2 game called Getaway, which was located in London, and there was like a gang warfare and Scotland Yard chasing the guys and all this. But the beauty of it all was that it was the first game at the time that properly reworked the architecture and London overall, and you were to be driving through the areas where you lived, and that was wonderful. And I remember literally driving there and showing it to my friends, and once you completed the game, you had the kind of a mode which you unlocked where you could drive freely without any kind of in-game activity and park the car literally next to the building where you lived, or literally outside the building. So so it was absolutely wonderful. It was quite revolutionary at the time. It was a very, very popular game as well. I remember this would have been maybe, was it the late 90s or early 2000s? Hard to remember. It was quite a few years back, almost 20 years ago. And Forza 4 does have the same aura but in this case it's the whole of the UK. It's rather than just London. And Scotland says, I casually drive about in Glasgow for Horizon 4. Well, that's the beauty of it, you know. Let's say you have a friend in Los Angeles, or you have a friend in Moscow, or in Rome in Italy, and you talk to them through Twitch and you say, well, I want to show you where I live, and you just drive, you know, to your home city, and you basically show them exactly what the city is like. I think the game was intended to be also boosting tourism, and I'm not sure whether it worked or not, but I'm quite certain with the US gamers it probably would have kind of tickled their curiosity a bit about maybe certain areas that are not that familiar. You know, if for instance you were driving through north of Scotland, if you go, let's say, from Inverness to, I don't know, Thurso or to Wick, or, you know, one of those places up north, that's not that well known, I think, around the world. And then they might be drawn to, you know, they say, oh, look, there's Inverness in there, Loch Ness is just down there, and why shouldn't me just, you know, if we go to Scotland, drive through there and discover these areas. So that's terrific. Wales, for instance, Snowdonia, you know, you go down through South Wales, or you go to Colwyn Bay, and do you know what I mean? It's just like the areas that are really like your true treasures for people who are kind of exploring our country and learning about the Isles. And not just for people from the US. I have to admit, in my local area, there are people who've never been, you know, anywhere. And you tell them you've been to Loch Ness, or to Fort William, or to Wick, or Aberdeen, or you say you've been to Swansea, or to Brecon Beacons, they don't even know what Brecon Beacons is. So, well, that game can certainly teach them. That's for sure. Right. So, I think probably the time has come for us to be cracking on with a bit of Gears of War 5 activity. You guys played Gears of War? Are you familiar? Basically, this is a continuation of the saga. And for anyone who played Gears from the beginning, you will know we've reached a certain stage through which we're introduced to some new characters. We still have the same enemies, albeit a few new ones join forces to fight against the humans. And we start this game to the character of Marcus Phoenix's son, who is kind of leading us through the prologue. And then he tragically dies as he's trying to rescue some of the people stranded in a massive attack. And after that, we are playing Kate. Kate is the character who is displayed here on the screen. And then we go to a village where we need to meet some of her relatives, and unfortunately, as we are there, as you would expect in a video game, we come under massive attack, and then her uncle dies. So therefore, Kate is very, very angry about all that happened, and she wants to be conducting an activity where she'd be able to revenge her uncle, but she also needs to be following the instructions coming from the HQ and doing a number of missions in order to discover who betrayed the humanity, who was the character who created all these weird creatures and ran all kinds of experiments in secret facilities and turned his back to what was seen as a necessity for human survival. So, a really good story. The graphics are astonishing and very similar to what you expect in a graphic novel. Also, the activity in certain sections is heightened. You have fierce battles and many firefights. What I particularly like is you can bring in a buddy, so they come in and, you know, they're together with you. Some of the battles were similar to Escalation Protocol in Destiny, for all of you who are familiar with Destiny 2, and also the missions on the moon after we were introduced to Shadowkeep. So they're fairly fierce, and depending on what difficulty level you would have chosen at the beginning, you will get also some enemies that are sort of quite hard to neutralize. Even if you're playing on a kind of medium, you'll come across some guys that are very, very hard to kill, and I've really struggled with some of the situations, because there were some snipers and there were some other guys in there that appeared to be more powerful than me, and regrettably they were able to take the upper hand. But obviously I worked out the strategy. Eventually I neutralized them as well. In this game you don't have that many weapons to collect, but they can be modified. You can be using lots of different tools in order to make them kind of cosmetically beautiful. And it's just like a really enjoyable game, be it for single player or multiplayer or co-op. And you've got campaigns with a story, you've got multiplayer with several modes, and it is down to you really how you want to pursue it. And Scotland says, sadly I have to go to my mum's now, and I will try to connect to Twitch as soon as possible, but I have to say goodbye for now. Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us and participating in the broadcast. It's been great to have you here. Pop in again, at any other time. And as I said, I'll keep you in mind for my Warzone matches. No worries. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get to them, because the actual streaming schedule at the moment is very, very flexible, depending on what's needed out there with the pandemic. And I just wish you a very, very good week ahead. And most importantly, keep safe. Wear a mask wherever you go. Do not talk to anyone when you go outside, because talking is one of the main ways through which the virus is transmitted. And just make sure that you keep your distance. And if you want to go out, the best way to do it is in the middle of the night where everything is deserted. Put your head through the window, or you can just have a stroll around the block or something like that. But the best way of dealing with this dreadful situation is simply by being in quarantine, being indoors and absolutely kind of isolated from everyone. It's sad, but that's the way we have to do it at the moment, before there are some further findings coming from the scientific community, when we'll be able to tell the world that that's exactly what this virus does. It's not known at the moment. So I wish you a very, very good day, and thank you for coming, Scotland. Well, we are now going to be doing some gameplay, so get ready for some action done by Kate and Dell. I think I've gone to no, start game settings. Hang on. There we are. Scotland quotes the hashtags we've been using here all the time, and that is hashtag be a hero, hashtag stay at home, hashtag stay safe, hashtag save lives. I would also put one other hashtag, save our NHS, because with our NHS they simply have to be protected in order not to be overwhelmed with too many infections coming at the same time. And by staying at home, we are first of all preventing the spread of disease, so we are attacking the virus, and that's very important for everyone to recognize. We are fighting a war by keeping ourselves in self-isolation. Therefore we are not allowing the virus to spread. We are by any, and also we are protecting the lives of our loved ones, together with obviously our own. So that is the best way. Alright, we've come to this area. I need to just adjust my sound. And as you can see in here, it's very easy to pick up ammunition. Everything is more automated. But we have lots of different mods, and our assistant in the game is a robot called Jack. So it is equally important that Jack is always fully customized. So for instance, in here, when you click on the options button, you get his special skills, and then special skills need to be modified and unlocked. So you could see for the flash I unlocked 3 of those, the last one is still locked. And then you'll use special skills accordingly. One that's been very useful in the latest missions was this one, and that is called Cloak. So I got invisible. Right? So being invisible has been very, very useful in some situations where to deal with some really difficult enemies. Okay, you can see how beautiful the graphics side is. This game is literally mouth-watering. I'm always astonished by how good it is. The way you command the character is easy. You can really do the similar sort of moves to what you would have had in other games. You do not have prone position, which is significantly different compared to, let's say, Ghost Recon. So I've gone down in here, but let me just see what we need to do. We need to enter the mine, so the entrance. Okay. Just this a bit. What is this? Drop shot. So it's possible that we will need it. So let me just see. Let's see, drop shot. And Breaker Mace will leave. Breaker Mace I picked up from one of the enemies, and it's been very, very useful. But in this instance, we probably will need some more powerful firepower.
Jack, rip that door.
So Jack will need to open the door.
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off. Took him out. Frag out.
Don't know what's happening here with this frag.
Oh shit! Anna's got a bastion!
Oh, he's there. I don't have any ammunition. Ridiculous. Well, I'm gonna be gone. Yeah. That'll be really difficult. No, I'm not succeeding using the right weaponry, so there you go. Let's see. Okay.
Come on! Get over here! I'm bleeding out!
I'll need to get to the other side, I think. It's rockets. That's it. They have destroyed me. So there you go. I was a bit slow. It was my fault. Well, you know, didn't even warm up. Just literally into the thick of the action, and that's tricky. Okay, so let me think very quickly what we need to do.
Kate, other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off. Throwing grenade.
I got you.
They're really strong, these guys. That was good.
Frag out! Oh shit! We got a Scion! And it's got a Bastion!
Well, that's amazing that I was able to get him.
Target's down.
They're nice to know it.
My, what is going on?
Any help here?
This weapon turned out to be useless. Let's see, that's not it. Don't get it. Something's wrong in here. No, I'm literally without ammunition. I haven't got anything. Okay, get that lancer.
Fire in the hole!
Perfect.
Looks like we need to eliminate all the other enemies, I think. Where is he?
Letting out!
I need some help.
I need some help ASAP! Little help there! Oh man, I'm hurt! Thanks, kid.
This'll work.
Oh! 'Cause I- 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 'cause
He's immune.
Sweet. I'm wounded.
Ah, we're gonna die now. We're all gonna die. Which is what happened. Alright. We need to work out how to destroy him, because there must be a way through which his shield is broken. And that's not been achieved.
Other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off.
No, it's that weapon not really useful. Look at that.
Wounded. I'm knocked down.
Oh shit! We got a Scion! And it's got a Bastion!
I need help here.
Loads of enemies in there. Oh, there he is. This was good. Oh no, that wasn't him. Oh, there's another one in there, okay. Oh, he just got away.
Gotcha.
Out of ammunition. He's the last one left, and I've got no ammunition on any of my weapons. Well, that's too tragic.
I'll take that.
Boom shot.
They're still coming!
Where
Man, they do not
where
want
is
us
he?
getting into that mine. Coming your way! Completing it.
You're okay.
It just had to happen there. Boo. Boo.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this
Hey,
wasn't the weapon
other side
that
of the
we
river.
wanted.
I see him. Hold him
Buzzkill.
off.
Fire in the hole!
This weapon's not that good.
Oh shit! We got a scion! And it's got a bastion!
Throwing frag. Got you.
Drop the target! Throwing frag!
I'm knocked down.
I see you!
Need to pick up some other weapon because this is not gonna cut it, I think. Don't think. Oh, he kind of revived him. I'm doing well with my headshots in here. I'm amazing myself. Hammer burst. There was another one. Where was it? Wasn't that? No, none of them really. These ones are not going to work too well. Shield doesn't want to break. No.
Oh yeah.
They're still coming. Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Well, I need another weapon.
This'll work.
Ah, boo! He was stronger than me. I don't believe it. Ah! Back to the square one.
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off. I'm knocked down!
I see you. Out of the way! I got you, Kate. Get over here!
I'm wounded!
You gotta help me up!
I need help here!
I see you. Uh-oh. Kate! Other side of the river!
I see him! Hold him off! Need some help!
Oh shit! We got a scion! And it's got a bastion!
Frag out! Throwing frag! Ah!
mine.
I'm knocked down!
That's becoming rather frustrating.
Uh-oh. Kate! Other side of the river!
I see him. Hold him off. I'm wounded.
Uh-oh. Kate! Other side of the river!
I see him. Hold him off. One less.
They're still coming. Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Ah. Dear me.
got a bastion!
Target's down. I got him. Get me up. Dropped a hostile.
They're still coming! Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Hopefully we'll get an achievement at the end of it all. Or maybe not, we'll see. Whatever.
Kate, other side of the river!
I see him. Hold
The
him
tricky
off.
thing is I don't seem to be using the best weapons, you know, that's the main reason for...
Got another one.
No weapons left in there.
I'm wounded.
Jack, come on.
No, I haven't got anything.
I'll take that. Stay down.
They're still coming. Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
No, but I don't have
Sweet.
the best weapon that I need. Okay, so that...
You're dead.
No. How come I don't have that ammunition anymore? Completely out of ammunition.
Jack, pulse.
Someone, get over here!
Sweet.
Oh no! Oh no! No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I was just about to finish it off. Unlucky.
Uh-oh. Other side of the river!
I see him. Hold him off. Help!
Hang on, I'll be right there! coming. Oh shit! We got a scion! And it's got a bastion!
Come on, up! Why is it not allowing me to go up? Oh, out of ammunition again.
Throwing frag!
They're still coming! Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Frag out! I'm wounded!
Hang on, I'll be right there!
I need some help!
So tricky. Nearly there this time though. Hopefully we'll get there in the end.
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river!
him. Hold him off.
Oh man, I'm hurt.
And that's the end of it all.
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off.
Too bad. Gone immediately.
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off.
Oh shit! We got a Scion! And it's got a Bastion!
How many more times am I gonna be trapped in there? Is the question. A few, I'd say.
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off.
Okay.
Took him out.
difficult, I think.
I'm wounded.
I'm bleeding out!
Got you. Shot to hostile.
I need some help ASAP! I'm bleeding out! No help there!
I'm here, Doug.
Got it now. So that's what we need to do, okay.
They're still coming! Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Yet again. Getting really tough, eh?
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river!
I see him. Hold him off.
Throwing frag!
I should have known I should not get on the ice because I'm gonna be dying in there. Should have known.
Uh-oh. Kate, other side of the river!
I see him. Hold him off.
Oh shit! We got a Scion! And it's got a bastion!
Don't have any ammunition or anything.
Hey, stay down!
Got you.
So where's his weapon? There.
Sweet.
They're still coming. Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
I need help here.
Well, how am I going to be able to finish this off? This is really difficult. Turning out to be quite difficult. Well,
Okay, other side.
I'm learning all the time.
Hold him off.
what's useful is you can shoot the ice and then the ice breaks and they all fall in.
Found another.
Which is what I didn't really know early on.
Oh shit! We got a scion! And it's got a bastion! Fire in the hole!
That was good. We need to shoot as early as possible for them to be diving and drowning. It's funny because the trick is to drown them all.
They're still coming! Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Time to swim.
Oh, this was good. Where's the other one? Come on!
I need some help.
Even the two of them in there. I don't believe it. Too many of them with these shields. Let's bring them back to the ice, I think. It's just about the only solution. This is not a bad solution either. Oh, I can't pick it up. Come, run, 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 run! Break!
Okay, we're clear. And the lift should be good to go.
Nice work, Jack.
I don't believe it! We are in the clear! After all of that, we're in the clear! My god! Well, and we didn't get an achievement. Well, honestly. But actually, if you think about it, if you think about the situation, the most important thing is that you're firing at the ice so they're all drowning. Because if they come to the landing, then obviously they're very, very hard to kill because they have these shields. But if they fall into this icy water, they drown. And that is the best solution, the best remedy to this. Okay. I really want to crack on a bit because I'll be watching at 5 o'clock the news, the government press conference. So I'll be waiting for our friend to join us. Okay. Come to the top. Question is, do we have any weapons? Because I was really low on good weapons there in the previous situation.
Wait a sec. skull. I bet they were from here.
You could be right. That means...
That means we're about to have a fight on our hands.
Well, we've just had a fierce firefight out there. Looks like something's gonna be in there.
Jack, look.
There was anything to pick up, okay. It's very important to check because if you're looking for those collectibles, they will be always there. So remember that.
Hey, where are you going? We gotta check the mine.
Right, that's quite true.
Jack, cloak.
Cloak, I didn't cloak now. What am I doing? Hang on, that's not it. The mine is up here, so you could see. Not here, but just ahead of us. Beautifully designed, really, it's wonderful. Really, this is a game you can really enjoy on the visual front. You can just devour all the beautiful environments and nice sort of thing, really. Nether cut mining.
Roscoe said it's true. This place got wiped out. Keep your guard up.
So you could see I've enabled that. Enable that perk. That will tell me exactly where the collectibles are. Still suffering from those nightmares.
Sure looks like they fought them hard in here. Just no bodies.
Yeah.
So there's a lance, so what are we going there? A minute. Pick up that lance.
I'll take that.
Okay. Where's that long shot now? No. Okay. Nasher. Grenade, Boltok, Lancer. Then I will keep maybe our Lancer on. Ammunition. Pick up. Another Nasher in there. Quickly see if there's anything else to collect. There is. Okay, so that's likely to be inside some of the batteries containers
Let's get this over.
that unlock the skills, the perks. Remember that.
You know, I thought we knew where all the outsiders were, but we missed a lot in the roundup. How?
Most outsiders don't want to be found. Especially by the cog.
Well, it's better we find them than the swarm.
We discovered this poster. Nethercut mining poster. They're here. Nethercut used to be a big time players back before the Locust War. A lot of old money and deep connections to the cog government. 2/3 of the raw material used to manufacture equipment for the military came from these guys. The sweat on their brows was the stuff lances were made of, you know, figuratively. Okay, so that's good. Remember to pick up everything, to check everything. It's funny how what previously was a kind of third-person shooter also integrated so well in the RPG collectibles, you know, for the inventory, connecting it to the story. It's really, really good.
Jack,
We want
can you get
Jack
that
to
open?
open this. To get those containers. Probably about 3 or 5 in there, I'd say. Let's have a bet. Is it 3? Is it 5? Let's see. Yeah. Generally the ones which are well hidden are giving you many more components. So now we have 6. Okay. So let's see. Support. Detect pickups. That's the perk. That's very, very useful. Remember to enable this perk because it will tell you where the pickups are. Makes it much easier for everyone, and it's similar to what we had in Destiny with, you know, some of the searches. So very, very good stuff. Let's see, passives upgrade. These all have been enabled, so that's good. Let's see, assault. Okay, so that's cool. Support. That's cool. So the top ones have been done. Okay. So let us see the other ones. Shock trap. Shock traps last 50% longer. Multi trap and snare. I think I probably will resort to. Let me see. Probably could do that. But there was a very useful one which I've seen here. Agility. Close coordinates move 50% faster. So that's something we want to upgrade. Okay, so that's cool. We'll basically work towards everything being unlocked. So just keep checking and, you know, and then unlocking. That's the idea. So there's nothing else for us to collect in here. Anything in this? Well, you know, in some games you pick up stuff from those lockers in here. That's not the case. Alright.
Jack, pulse.
No, there's nothing in that. Okay. But it tells us there is something to our left. Okay, some corridors or something. Not immediately visible. Look at that. Not here. I thought it could be. Oh, just to that door. Okay. We better be ready for some other incursions. Oh, look at that.
I can't believe Nina survived this.
Let's just look around and see if we can find any explosives.
It's gonna be destroyed. There. There as well. Okay, loads of different things there. So we better explore everything a bit. See if there's any collectibles anywhere. And there may be.
Kate,
See, this is one of the collectibles.
people in pods?
Do my best not to.
Yeah. But maybe there's some part of them, spark, that's still human.
There's nothing human left. Just keep looking around.
Nethercut Miner's Journal. He's dead. Rev is dead. Foreman says he died at the site. The cogs got us working on mining accident. Can't even get the body, he says. A couple of other guys lost their mates too. Everything is looking bleak around here. You know, I think I might just catch the next train back to Jacinto, get a proper office job like Mum's been saying, getting real tired of freezing, and that's that really. So I picked it up, it's like a diary. Let me quickly see the collectibles. Act 1, you see in Act 1 I didn't collect that many, this is Act 2. Let me see. That's pretty good, it's almost everything. The source of it all. Oh, that's the last bit. The other ones must have been really well hidden, because I've really explored everything, but... Or, you have also side missions in Gears also. If you're not doing the side mission straight away, there's always a chance that you're missing out on some of these, but that's the beauty of doing the replay, because you know exactly where to go, and you know, you collect your inventory and bits and pieces. So ideally all the games should have that degree of replayability, right? The games that have linear storytelling, that is. It's not the case with never-ending games like Elder Scrolls or Online or Destiny, you know, the big open world ones. I just want to remind everyone that the Easter sale is still on with on some of the titles. Actually, it expired yesterday, that's true. Last night it expired on Microsoft titles, but it's definitely worth catching some of the other discounts offered. Equally, you need to double check what's on offer for Spring Sale on PlayStation. Lots of good titles. I purchased quite a selection. Some of the, like The Effect and what was it called? It was not Christine. It's there's a name of a particular lady. It's like a murder mystery FBI type of story. £1.65, and you know, an offer that can't be refused. And then Fear Effect was thing £1.75 or £2, something like that. And also got Game of the Year edition of Dragon Age Inquisition for Xbox. It was only about £6, and I have the base game. The base game I have on PlayStation, but didn't have Game of the Year. And Game of the Year is much bigger. If you're familiar with Dragon Age, you will know that almost, I won't say half of it, but it's like a massive big expansion that came together with the first installment, and that's the tradition that it's carried on with. So definitely worth catching if it's still there on that price. But you know, basically Microsoft Store, Microsoft and PlayStation stores are providing with lots of special offers at all times. It's definitely worth catching every week, every few days, very quickly browsing, because you know, hundreds of games, but you will find your niche. I usually find, you know, a few that are of interest to me, and the idea is they provide something for everyone. I think it's really very noble that they offer so many titles on such low prices, because the difference is immense. If you think, let's say if you are a fan of Mass Effect, you want to play Anthem, the premium edition will cost you about £60–70 otherwise, regardless of the fact that the game's been around for a little while. And they're offering Anthem, the base game, I think it was something like £7.50, or within like around £8, and the top edition, the Platinum edition called Legion of Dawn, was offered for £10.40. So that's a very good offer, because you get all the extras, and if you buy the premium edition, you get all that content thrown in for free as well, the seasons and whatever they created ever since the game was released. And definitely worth buying. And also don't forget, they offer you many different titles free of charge through weekly freebies, and also you have many on Xbox Game Pass, and sometimes we have to make certain investments in order to support both the developers and publishers, and I certainly do that from time to time. But you know, for myself, I have my blockbuster favorites. There aren't that many. and then I'll have like lots of obscure games. I really like the old style PC puzzle games, you know. They're not very popular, you don't come across them frequently, but if you dig your heels in and you go through all the lists, you'll find quite a few of those on, well, Steam and PS and Microsoft stores. So some of them are really absolutely delightful. I have several on my list. I'm just waiting for them to kind of drop to prices within like £1 and £2, and then I buy everything in bulk. And for us in the UK, we don't have any more access to CX due to the lockdown. CX is offering many older games for 360 and PS3 consoles on very, very low prices. But I actually, to be honest with you, I really have gone into the digital kind of gaming and purchasing, because if there are any issues, it's very easy to remedy through patches and updates, and very, very rarely do I come across those, and it makes it so easy for anyone who wants to be, I guess, mobile, going from one place to another and then playing the game. So everything is in your digital online library. If you're purchasing a physical product, you will need that product in order to kind of launch the game, and I think it's becoming a bit of something of the past, really. I know for myself, because I spent quite a bit of time on the continent last year, and it's a real pain when you got to carry the whole selection of the games and you have to literally travel with them. That will be completely gone after the xCloud is introduced, and we are going to have a completely different perspective on gaming overall, because I think what's really pretty good with Xbox is that if you were, for instance, in possession of your older games, once you've had your digital backward compatibility, I believe the disc will no longer be necessary, and that will be all enhanced, and it will make it they said they will make literally every single Xbox release game backwards compatible, meaning that whatever you bought over the years could be automatically upgraded just by accessing that game, and I really look forward to that. I think that's going to be really great. It's ideal, because you can then, through xCloud, you are going to be able to access the game wherever you are, and ask your friends to join in. If you're a streamer, it's very, very easy. You can access hundreds, thousands of games, in fact, that were released since the early days, and stream them. And at the moment, that's not the case. You can't stream them because there are quite a few titles that are still not added to that library. So remember that. Just hoping that some of those things will not be significantly delayed due to the pandemic, but we have to wait and see. Nobody will complain if we suffer some delays. I think there was one of those, wasn't it, up here? No, that's not it. This one, equip. Oh, it was 5 and not 3, but there was one that wanted 3, I think. This one, yeah. Stealth thrusters. Jack can remain cloaked while boosting reactive stealths. All these kinds of perks, and passives are very useful because you don't have to do anything about them. They're always there. So that's really cool. Still a bit of time before I watch the news conference. Alright, we'll actually stop here. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting both my channel and the online community on Twitch. Thank you for supporting Microsoft and Gears of War, indeed, by watching and perhaps enjoying what you've seen, and maybe that will make you purchase the game. We are, I forgot to say that earlier, playing the Platinum, the Ultimate Edition of Gears of War 5, which is accessible free of charge if you're a subscriber to the Ultimate and or to Xbox Game Pass, and then we can access all the content 24/7 wherever we are, whenever we want. So that's the most kind of preferred option for everyone. But if you are a collector, if you want to own the game, you can always access it. Just wait for the price to drop sometimes, because they offer some of those games some really good prices, like what we've seen during the weekend. And I think the Ultimate will always be a bit more expensive, and the Ultimate will never drop to the shillings and pence level, for the obvious reason. But if you enjoyed it, then you can come back again. We'll carry on with some of the gameplay later today, and I'll be throwing in some Elder Scrolls in addition to Gears, but you know, I kind of like continuity with my gaming. This is my first run on Gears of War and I want to really get to know the story and follow all that's happening there, so probably we'll be hammering it a bit more than usual. So I'll depart for now and then I'll come back in a few hours, and if you're interested, just pop in, say hello. We've had several of our old friends coming here today. I'm very grateful for that. And as you could see, my community here on Twitch has been very, very quiet of late since I resumed with my broadcasts. I think the reason for that is a lot of people are aware of the variety streams. They're perhaps less interested in some of the games than just Destiny. But that's the program for now, and that's what I will be doing, for a little while. We'll see how it all evolves, and so far so good. So thank you for watching, thank you for supporting my channel and for supporting our community, and I look forward to seeing you later on tonight for another broadcast of Gears of War 5. I wish you all a very, very good evening, and once again I want to tell you that everyone needs to stay at home, so hashtag be at home UK, hashtag stay at home UK, hashtag stay indoors UK, hashtag be a hero. Remember that. Hashtag stay at home UK, hashtag be a hero. You are a hero because you're supporting our efforts through which we are trying to contain the pandemic, this dreadful disease which is affecting the entire population of the planet. And you are then obviously preventing the spread of the virus, which is most important. And if you're joining us with video gaming online activity, you are becoming one of the heroes like Kate or Max Phoenix or Jill Valentine or Master Chief or any of the other heroes from our game. So remember that. Hashtag stay at home UK, hashtag stay indoors UK, hashtag be a hero. On that note, I shall wish you a very, very good afternoon.
Are you gonna move, or are we just gonna stand here looking at each other?